airport and I'm about to eat something right before our flight to Israel. We're gonna have a layover in Jakarta and another layover in Dubai. And the food in the airport is like really not, like none of it is anything that I would want. It's just, I'm starving, so I'm just gonna eat something. But like the kind of food that is in the airport and also in Denpasar in general is just very different than the food that you see in Ubud. People are much more health conscious in Ubud, and selection is very different. Like you get a lot of like natural, fresh fruits, vegetables, protein, stuff like that. Gluten-free, whatever, you know. Here in the airport and in Denpasar in general, like in the big cities, it's all fried stuff, like all fried, floury, white floury stuff, sugars, artificial stuff. And it's very, very, very different food. So anyways, I'm eating something and thinking about how we're leaving Bali for the time being, you know, maybe a couple months, maybe a little bit longer, I don't know. I don't know what's in the future, but it's exciting and scary, but I think it's a little less nerve-wracking than it used to be in the past because there are some more certainties in our life. Like, we're married, we have a child on the way, we kind of know already like certain dynamics of our future. Like we kind of know how things are gonna be. It's a little more sure. Like we've spent long enough together that we know each other, we know ourselves within the context of being with each other. Like things aren't as crazy as they used to be, even though we're taking bigger risks than we did before. So anyway, just thinking about it, meditating. Andrew's in the Starbucks right across the way on his laptop. So there's a Starbucks right there. There's a Starbucks right there. That's where Andrew is working on his laptop. And I just stopped here for a bite. There it is. Literally the healthiest meal I could find. Sea of Pink mall, like a little mall in here in this airport. There's my man carrying 4 bags on either side of him, and then 2 back in front, while I carry nothing. And this is our video picture. I literally didn't change my hairstyle since yesterday. I'm tired. Same. We are here in Israel, early in the morning. And we're gonna go to immigration. Alright. 7 a.m. post. I am now in Jerusalem, and there's like just so much catching up I have to do in terms of like, I don't even know where we left off. I guess I got some of the airport when we landed in Israel. We had 2 layovers, one in Jakarta, one in Dubai. They were very interesting. It was really interesting to be in those airports. Jakarta airport was huge, and it was like actually much nicer than I expected. And also just seeing Jakarta, like when we were landing and seeing the sprawling city, so much water like in between buildings and homes. There's like just water everywhere. Dubai was also interesting. It was like being in a mall. The airport was like a mall. Just, that's all we saw, the airports. 5 check. We went from wearing bathing suits and flip-flops every day to now. Check it out.
New boots.
Yeah, new boots. Andrew got me these. I don't know if I'm showing you well on the camera. Very comfy and like good for the cold and walking a lot. is a shuk in the morning. It's a lot of olives and this is chava. I'm actually really curious of what you think about this. Like
good.
if you try it, I'm curious about what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stands are open right now.
It's okay. It's just so nice. It reminds me of Turkey.
Yeah. So many like nuts of every kind and dried fruits on that side and spices.
How much are the olives?
Got all. Babe, look, there's spices back there.
Oh, yeah.
So many spices everywhere. Ginger turmeric infusion. It's so strange. Can I show you something?
Yeah.
So in my camera, it looks like it's like the lights are flickering,
Yeah.
but actually when you look at it, it doesn't flicker.
So those lights are matching your frame rate from what your camera can take in a way that makes it flicker like that. They're syncing up to the frame rate. So the way like on some cameras, like helicopters look like they're stationary.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of the same thing going on.
I never even noticed that before.
So on mine too. So our camera's probably using similar frame rates.
That's so funny. First coffee shop stop. It's hard to tell here, but it's a really cute coffee shop. And we're gonna have some tea and maybe play chess. What's up, you guys? So I'm home and I wanted to continue my conversation from earlier. It's 6 days later since I vlogged, if I'm remembering correctly, about 6 days since I vlogged last. I haven't been vlogging at all for the past 6 days because we've just been doing so much. It's been very busy settling in, spending time with my family. They've been incredibly supportive. They've been so good to us. I feel very, very lucky to have my family. And also just getting stuff in order. All our stuff when we got off a plane, all of our things, clothes, bags, everything was very moldy from Bali. And the thing is, like, in Bali, it doesn't matter how clean you try to keep things, how many times you try to wash your stuff, it's just very wet. The climate is very like indoor outdoor, so your stuff is gonna get moldy no matter what. And if one thing gets moldy, especially if you put it in a suitcase with everything else, if there's like even a little bit of mold that you don't detect, it's gonna get on everything else. If you leave it in a closet with your other stuff, all the stuff in that closet are gonna get moldy. Just spreads really fast in Bali. Mold spreads really fast. So it was like the past week we've been just washing everything and rewashing. Not that I was even able to wear any of the stuff because it's all summer clothing. It's all like beachy, jungly summer clothing. And here in Jerusalem, it's like cold. It's actually very cold right now. And I'm wearing my sister's shirt. My sister's clothing. This whole week I've been wearing my sister's clothing. Shirts, jackets, scarves. My sister-in-law. And I've just been... Some of my brother's clothing I've been wearing. And yeah, they've been so good to us. And they keep... they bring us food and we eat all of it, and it's like the food is actually surprisingly good. We love the dates here, olives, cheese, like dairy stuff. They have turnips. We've been eating turnips a lot, which turnips have like antibacterial properties, which I think has been helping with Andrew's infection. So Andrew had a tooth infection, which I was really worried about back in Indonesia, and they didn't want to work on him because we went to the dentist like a week before we got on the flight,
and they didn't want to work on him a week before his flight because they were scared that the infection would spread. But ever since we got here, we've been eating a lot of garlic, onions, turmeric, and turnips. And I've just been like throwing it in the food or in the teas, like in the coffees, whatever. And we went to the dentist again here in Jerusalem. We went to the dentist 2 days ago, and they were really amazed that the infection went down. And he even says that his pain is down. So I think that these foods have been really helping to make the infection go down, which is really cool. So if you have an infection, you have an active infection anywhere in your body, turnips and turmeric, garlic, onions. Those are like the holy grail of what we've been doing to fight this infection. Just turnips, if you have turnips. And I didn't see any turnips in Bali where we were, so, but they have them here in the grocery store, and they're very cheap compared to the other vegetables. So yeah, just eat a lot of turnips and it kills your infection. And the garlics were also a good price. Garlics, onions, So yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been trying to network as much as possible. Like in Bali, networking was a little bit of a tiring thing because in general, going out felt very tiring in Bali. Going out feels tiring here too, but it's different. In Bali, going out is like, for me, especially being pregnant, warm-blooded, attracting mosquitoes 24/7, and everything just feels so loud. The motorbikes, there isn't really like a lot of places to walk, so you just have to be on your motorbike if you want to get places. And if you do want to walk, you're going to be attacked by wildlife. You have to deal with crazy cats, dogs, strays, rabies. You don't want to catch rabies. It's just you don't want to get bitten, even if you don't know if it's rabies. You don't want to have to pay. It's really expensive. And they have like a whole industry in Bali of people paying like $6,000 for a rabies shot because they got bit by a stray dog or cat, and a lot of them have rabies, so you have to get the shot. You can't just take your chances, because once you have rabies symptoms, it's over for you. It's game over. So Bali, just being out, it's not fun. In an exploring setting, it's just not fun to like be just going on a walk all the time. In our neighborhood was really the best in Bali. It really was the best. In the neighborhoods, we were in a couple of neighborhoods that were okay, but it's still not pleasant. You're still being attacked by mosquitoes 24/7. You're still like, even in the house, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, you can't go potty without like shaking your hands and legs the whole time because you're getting bitten, while you're trying to take a poop. It's really uncomfortable and itchy and frustrating. In the middle of the night, you don't want to go to the bathroom. It doesn't matter how much you spray lemongrass on yourself or what you do to try to fight the mosquitoes. They're everywhere. And, I spent like a huge chunk of our time in Bali. I just spent hiding in the mosquito net on our bed. And even then, 1 or 2 mosquitoes would get in and they would bite me constantly. And then I would have to catch them, and there'd be blood all over the sheets, and it was just very uncomfortable. And it feels really nice to be able to like sit here and relax and not have to hide in a mosquito net, be able to go on a walk outside, feel relaxed that I won't be attacked by a mosquito. The monkeys were pretty good. The monkeys are not going to bite you in Bali unless you like mess with them or you smile at them like this, because this to monkeys means you're going to attack them, because it's not a nice thing for them. It means that it's a sign of attacking them, so they're going to fight you. But the dogs, cats, and then all other critters and bugs and stuff. You can't cook anything. It feels so nice since we've gotten here that I could cook. I've been cooking every single day. Cooking, washing dishes, whatever, spending time in the house. It's fun when you don't have all the wildlife attacking you and pooping in your shit while you're cleaning. Like, it's just so pleasant to finally have like peace of mind. That's what it is. It's peace of mind. Bali was driving me crazy, and I don't think I even realized it until we came here. That being said, of course, there's things that we had available to us in Bali that we don't have here. For one, the rent was significantly cheaper, and I don't know how we're gonna stay here. You know, my family is helping us for a little bit. There's a expiration date on that. We have to figure out how to live here, how to pay the ginormous rent prices, which to the average American might seem normal. You go on Airbnb or you ask around in Jerusalem, the rent prices are pretty nice, maybe compared to an American that lives in New York City or Los Angeles or whatever. But for us, they are ginormous. And we've also been spoiled because usually we don't live in like the worst part of town. We live usually in, wherever we go, we always live in the best places. But we're just used to like very, very cheap rent, $500 a month. Not more, definitely not more than $900 or $1,000 a month. Definitely not more than that. I mean, it's been a long time since we've spent more than $1,000 a month for rent for like a nice place that's furnished and it's like an Airbnb. You know what I mean? So that's something to get used to. Prices, going to the doctor, going to the dentist, stuff like that. Obviously more expensive in Israel, especially because we're still tourists, so we don't have, we don't have health insurance. And we don't have like the local health insurance. And massages, if I wanted to get a massage, which I don't even think I'm gonna bother. I'm a massage snob. I'm not even gonna bother getting a massage. I'm not even gonna bother trying to go to classes here, belly dance classes. Forget about it. Belly dance classes here are like $20 a class. I'm not even gonna bother. Things are just more expensive in Israel compared to the places that we've been living in other countries. So I'm definitely spending more time at home, and it's also nerve-wracking to not know where we're gonna give birth. So like, we don't know where we're gonna live, and we don't know where we're gonna give birth, and I'm 6 months pregnant. And it's getting harder and harder for me to like walk around and explore, even though I'm trying to be really active. I'm working out every day. Here, even like, we have our mats set out in the living room. I'm just working out every day, working on my abs, squats, whatever, and I still have my abs. I've been just consistently doing abs and squats and everything like that, but I'm still tired so quickly when we go out. So we're gonna try to do a hospital tour very soon. There's one hospital that's really caught my attention, and it's actually a Palestinian hospital, which a lot of people here don't want to give birth in a Palestinian hospital because obvious reasons, but it's also a lot cheaper for that reason. And they have certain options that are much better than they have certain options that the other hospitals don't have. For example, they give you a private room, and they have a water birth for first-time moms, which all the other hospitals in Jerusalem don't do that. They don't let you have a water birth in your first birth. For your first birth, you have to like give birth on a bed, which I really don't want to. I really, really, really have my heart set on like a bath, like a water bath. And at the same time, it would be nice to be either close to a hospital or in a hospital in case of emergency, one that I trust. So I'm hearing really, really good reviews about this hospital. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get a tour to go there and check it out. And we would still have to figure out our living situation in the meantime. But it would be nice to just know, like, where the baby can come out. So all this stuff is, like, really, really weighing on my brain. I'm really nervous about all of it, and I'm trying to, like, you know, we've been doing yoga every morning. I'm trying really hard to, like, continue to maintain my, you know, manage my anxiety, like, to just, like, praying a lot and trusting. Like, that's my new thing. Or not, you know, that's, like, the thing that I'm working on a lot, is just trusting in my body, trusting in the universe, trusting God, trusting Andrew, trusting that things are just gonna work the way they should. And they really have been working better than we, like, as good as we could have asked for. Ever since we got to Jerusalem, we've had things working so smoothly and in our favor. And, like, most people wouldn't consider going to Jerusalem after they get married, like, their honeymoon. Usually people go to Bali for their honeymoon. They don't go to Jerusalem from Bali for their honeymoon. So for us, we kind of did it in reverse, and we just needed a break from Bali anyway. And then Jerusalem was kind of like, you know, hey, my siblings live here, and they're so supportive. They can be around, you know, and it actually feels really good to be around family when you're about to give birth to a baby, because there's just things that you can ask from your family members that you can't ask from strangers. Or you could ask from strangers, but it just feels weird. Like, it just feels, you know, it just feels weird to, like, ask a stranger to drive you to the hospital, or ask a stranger to cook you some food, or to get you something from the store, you know. It feels weird to do that. And I've had people that I didn't know so well ask me to go to the store for them and get them this or that, and it kind of turned me off because I didn't really know them. I hadn't spent a lot of time with them, and then they were asking me for stuff, you know. With family, I feel like I can do that even though I haven't spent a lot of time with them, and you know what I mean? So that's been a huge appeal for being here. And a lot of people that we talked to, that we told them that we're in Jerusalem. We actually didn't tell a lot of people that we're coming here. We told people that we're going to visit family, but they just assumed that we're going back to the States. I just don't, like, they might come here and watch my videos and then just find out that we're here in Jerusalem, but, like, I don't want to have the conversation, because for a lot of people, Jerusalem, Israel, whatever, is such a, like, to them, because they don't actually live here, or they don't actually come here for, like, practical reasons. Like, to them, this is just like a la land of politics. Like, this is just like a political topic for them. So they're like, oh, why else would you go there unless to piss me off with your politics? So it's like, I don't care. I don't want to have a political conversation with anybody. So I'm just here. Like, I don't care. I will give birth in the Palestinian hospital. I don't care. So, and I don't think most people here care. I don't think any, like, some people I know care, but it's more for logistical reasons. Like, the Palestinian hospital doesn't have kosher food, so they want a place that has kosher food. Stuff like that. I don't think anyone here cares for political reasons. And I feel like outside of Israel, even for us, like, Israel feels like really different. Israel's more of like a political thing. And even the way that people live, like, people are just kind of, life is normal here. Before we came here, it really felt like, oh my God, we're flying into a war zone, ceasefire, you know. We were like, oh my God, like, we're coming here. In my last video, I was talking about, like, my thoughts of coming to Israel when they were having a ceasefire. Oh, I wonder if that will help us. Nobody here seems to feel fazed by that at all. they're just kind of living their lives, and they're like, oh yeah, I heard whatever. No one seems to have their life altered by the fact that there's a ceasefire or not. They're just kind of doing what they do. There's bomb shelters everywhere. People are sort of like, people know where the bomb shelters are, and they know, or the stairwells, wherever they will hide whenever a siren goes off. That's like all they know, and then they'll know when a siren goes off that they should go to those places. But beyond that, people here don't seem fixated, or, I mean, not everybody seems like very fixated, at least the way that we feel through the news, but when we're outside of Israel, if that makes sense. So it's just a place where people live. People are just living their lives. So I feel weird even vlogging here, honestly, because another thing is, like, if you notice my timestamp, it says the time and the date that I'm filming this, but it doesn't say my location. And my GPS, no matter which Wi-Fi I connect to in Jerusalem, my GPS refuses to show me where I am. There's some kind of jammer or something happening here everywhere in the city that I've been in so far that has made it impossible to, like, connect my location to the GPS. There's, like, no location services anywhere we go in Jerusalem, which is really annoying because it's hard to, like, I mean, other than my memory of Jerusalem and where to go, it's just impossible to, like, look for my phone, for directions on my phone. I have to, like, we have to ask people, or we have to just look at the street signs, you know what I mean? We have to do it the old-fashioned way, because my phone and both of our phones refuse to connect to, like, refuse to show us a tracker of where we are. So like, the other day we went to the dentist, and the dentist was in a really frum neighborhood. It was in a really religious neighborhood in Jerusalem that was, like, very Haredi, and I was wearing something under my coat that I wouldn't want to have exposed in the Haredi neighborhood, but since we were walking through it, I just kept my coat on. But then we weren't able to get out of that neighborhood because the map showed us as being in a totally different place than we were in our phones. So we ended up going around and getting even deeper into the Haredi neighborhood. And so I was, like, trekking in this long, heavy coat that I wasn't taking off because I didn't want to take it off in that neighborhood because I didn't want to, like, make people uncomfortable there. It was very hot. I got tired multiple times. We had to stop and I had to sit down. It was actually kind of miserable. And I really hope we don't get stuck in a Haredi neighborhood again while I'm wearing a big, huge coat, because I don't want to have to deal with that again. It was very, very uncomfortable. Jerusalem generally has, like, so many different pockets, areas that you'll find kind of your area, and then you just, like, want to hang out in those areas that you like. You don't really want to hang out in the areas that you don't feel comfortable in for whatever reason. Either they're, like, religious areas, or they're hostile areas, they don't feel safe, or whatever the areas are. For me, like, there are certain areas that I really like in Jerusalem, and there's other areas that I really don't like. I've spent so much time in the Haredi areas growing up, throughout my life, before seminary, during seminary, after seminary. I spent so much time in the Haredi areas, and I felt so suffocated, like, literally and figuratively felt suffocated the whole time. And it feels really nice to now be able to spend more time in the parts of Jerusalem that are less suffocating, and I'm having a very different experience than I had before. Things are much nicer also. It's obviously a more developed country than it was when I was here for this amount of time before. And like, I just feel I can hold hands with Andrew in public in a lot of areas here that we're walking, in the shuk. I can pull out my phone, I can vlog. It doesn't feel weird. It would definitely feel weird if I pulled out my phone and started vlogging in like Sanhedria or Carry Up Bells, you know, just a very different vibe. That's my first week assessment of being in Jerusalem after 6 years. And so it feels like we're moving somewhere. That's good. It's not totally relaxed. In fact, I'm still very anxious of the whole not knowing, like not knowing where life is going to take us, what's going to happen. I still feel so much of that, like what, where, how. But then when I think about it, it's a good opportunity for me to practice learning trust in myself, trust in God, trust in the universe, trust in my partner, my husband now. And just trust that things will happen exactly the way they happen, the way they should. And also, it just feels like the entire world is in a state of limbo. So what I'm realizing is that no matter how uncertain I might think my life is, it's probably even more uncertain for a lot of people who are right now having their lives upended because the world is changing so fast. So for us, we've spent the past few years traveling and living in limbo intentionally. We've been living intentionally in limbo. We've been living as tourists in different countries. We've got pregnant, been getting medical procedures, doing all these things on the road. We've been traveling with like one suitcase. We don't even have suitcases, we have backpacks. Like, this is how we traveled. You saw earlier in this video exactly how much stuff we travel with. This is like all of our belongings, and usually we just get rid of extra stuff. We don't travel with a lot of stuff, and this is our entire life for the past few years. For a lot of people right now that their lives are being upended, they're having to go from having like an established place where they've lived in for the past like 30, 40 or more years to suddenly being on the road. And that is so much more traumatic and so much scarier. And what I'm realizing is that no matter how uncertain things might feel right now, it could be so much worse. Like, it could be so much more uncertain. It could be so much scarier. Oh, I don't know where I'm going to live next month or in 2 months, or I don't know who's going to be my doctor and who's going to help me pull out this baby, or I don't know like what I'm going to do about meals, or I don't know what I'm going to do about like where I'm going to get clothes from, like whatever. These little questions that I might have, or I don't know like where I'm going to get to belly dance with a group of girls next, like little things like that. No matter how many of these questions I might have, it can be so much more daunting, because most people in the world have not been living like this continuously for years. Most people in the world are not nomads and backpackers and stuff like that. But yet, most people in the world are still experiencing some kind of like change that is also almost traumatic because of like what's happening in the world right now. The world is so volatile, for better or for worse, and it's like everyone's lives are overturning. And so for a lot of people, it's much more intense and traumatic. It's like, oh, I've been living in the same exact city my entire life, and now I have to move from my city. Even if it's like for a job, that's traumatic. I've done that before. I've spent my whole life in one city. Even me, like I spent my whole life, I grew up in LA until I was like 23, 24. And even though I had traveled so much, I had lived in Israel in between, I had traveled a lot, many different countries with my family, more than the average person I traveled. But still, it was so traumatic for me when I moved from LA, and LA is a very metropolitan city. It was still so traumatic for me when I moved from LA to New York City, and then to Washington DC, and then to Virginia, like, and then to Texas. Like, that was all so traumatic for me every single time I moved. Imagine how traumatic it is for people that have never traveled. The majority of Americans don't have a passport, but so many people are still having to like upend their lives and move. Just not even because it's something in America. It's like the whole world is like this. The whole world is changing and people are having to uproot their lives because this is happening in the world. Imagine how much more traumatic it is for someone who's literally spent their whole life in one city and has never moved, never traveled. Maybe they live in a farm or like in a more rural area where they're not around like all these crazy people or things, and then they have to like upend their life. Imagine how traumatic that is. And it might just be for like a job, or it might just be because something in the town is changing, or it might just be, you know, for a lot of people in Southern California, might be for a natural disaster, or in wherever, North Carolina, whatever. And this is happening everywhere in the world too. So this is like what I'm reminding myself is like, okay, you can't make the world change. Right now, the world is going to be in a state, in a constant state of in-betweenness. That's how the world is going to be. And we don't know how much longer it's going to take for things to stabilize. So you can't control that part. You can't make the world be more sure. You can't make things be more sure than what you're already doing to try to like bring more stability to your life. But what you can do for now is practice trust. First of all, find the things that make you feel stable. Like, I love making these vlogs, and knowing the world, YouTube might shut down, and then I might have to like find another way to diary and document and whatever and share with you guys and connect. Like, there's always going to be something crazy happening, but finding like things that you can really, really hold on to and feel the most sure. Read my book, House Hackers Anonymous. There's I talk a lot about this, about ways to set yourself up for the future so that you don't have to deal with this like survival fear so much anymore, where you're kind of set up for life. Basically my whole survival plan for how to be more and more stable as life goes on. You do what you can. Read House Hackers Anonymous. Follow the steps in that book. Do what you can to get yourself to the most stable place possible, but then also understand that the world is in constant state of flux. And there's going to be a level of like trust that is needed. Even if you're not religious, faith in the universe. Like, it doesn't have to be faith in God. It can be faith in the universe. Faith that things are going to work out exactly as they should. And also faith in yourself and your body, that it's nature. It works exactly the way it's supposed to. Nothing is a mistake. And that's basically where I'm at right now. I'm just in this really in-between kind of mental place. And if you happen to be in Jerusalem for whatever reason, or in Tel Aviv or anywhere else in Israel, just hit me up. If I can, I would love to see you. We're trying to network as much as possible before the baby comes and before I get too tired to walk around. So definitely hit me up if you're around. I'm going to try to vlog as much as I can, although like Israel just doesn't really seem, there's so much I want to vlog. I just don't know how it is here. Like, I'm still getting the vibe of like, do people like getting filmed here or do they not like getting filmed here? Like in Bali, I feel like everyone's really comfortable with being caught on someone's camera, but here in Israel, I don't really know how it is yet. So I'm still getting to know how that works here. But we're probably gonna go play chess later at this new coffee shop that we found. And it's like an outdoor coffee shop and they have chess boards. And so maybe I'll get a little bit of that. So I feel like I look like a fat mama in my shots because it just looks fat. But Andrew's gonna take a shot of me of what I look like.
Turn the camera on.
As proof. Oh yeah, here. Okay, so this is proof that I'm not a fat mama. I'm just pregnant. So, ta-da! Look at my arms. They're not flabby. See? And I've been working out, and look. Look at my abs.
Okay.
Those are my abs.
It just looks like you're moving your boobs at this point.
Really?
Yeah. You should go back and look at the footage.
My ab muscles. Is that cool?
It's one word for it.
This is proof that I'm not a flabby fat mama. And I got it going on.
This is insecurity at its best. She is absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful, very motherly looking, very fit for a pregnant woman.
Is it just the shirt? Is it too baggy? I should wear a tighter shirt maybe, yeah?
I think you look fine, baby. The bra you have on is very visible through the top, but
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, you look amazing.
Accessorized a little bit. A headband and earrings to match. And Andrew has accessorized a little bit. Oh yeah! Oh baby! Andrew's looking. Oh yeah. Andrew just made an entire order from a nearby Mexican place in Espanol because the lady was Mexican.
In Israel.
In Israel, yeah. Because he couldn't communicate with her in Hebrew, but he was able to communicate with her in Espanol.
I know more Espanol than I realized, so.
Yeah. And he wasn't even trying to learn. He wasn't trying to learn at all when we were in Colombia and Mexico, and he also has no background being near, because he's from the north. So I'm actually really impressed. And I feel like that's how you learn languages, is you just have to be in the place and you not think about it.
With the dash of Duolingo as well.
Yeah, dash of Duolingo. We played 2 games, and in each one, it was a wipeout of one person beating the other.
Yep.
Chilaquiles made by real Mexicans. Oh yeah. Yeah? Looks like Barbara.
Barbier.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Permanent decrease in the function of that nerve. In
Did
this
you hear that
case,
part?
that decrease